gamers e games.
EA Sports, within the game.
This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland, our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings, and coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today, and Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, trying to motivate his guys to victory. And I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loved so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football, brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game? And beyond the 20, but not by much. In fact, just a yard pass there to the 21. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as a coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. And he played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
Completes it to the tight end, Kittle. He's got this almost to the 40 before going out. The third down conversion successful, a gain of 11. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee,
he tries to force it in, and it's intercepted. Picked up by Rob Woodson. And to the 43. So down inside the 45 to the 43-yard line. That's where they'll take over. Not something you see very often from a quarterback of his caliber, an opening drive interception.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that even he's surprised at how that one played out. But we know this guy is not going to stop him from continuing to fire as this game goes along. Probably give a little nod of respect across the field for that one, and let him know he'll be back the very next series.
So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in a conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
And touchdown! Marcus Allen, 37 yards. And the AFC has taken the early lead. So that a very nice-looking touchdown run.
And on his first carry of the game as well. And you remember, Brandon, we talked to him yesterday, and he thought he was going to have a big game. He thought everything aligned perfectly. He liked what the defense was presenting, and he really liked what he was getting from his blockers.
Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. And he's got it to make it 7-0 AFC. It only took him 2 plays there to find the end zone. The last one, the long run, getting him in for 6 points. And here's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. This will be fielded inside the 5. But he'll take it up past the 25 to the 26-yard line. With the NFC offense coming out here, and you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. So 10 seasons as a head coach. The Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second. And now the ball's out. Fumble near midfield. One quarter in the books at the Coliseum. What a day. It's the AFC Stars with the early lead. This is the John Madden Legacy game on EA Sports. The NFC with the football here to begin the second quarter. So possession still theirs, but now they face a third down. Here's Favre to throw. Blitz coming, and down he goes. In for the sack, Myles Garrett.
Even for a guy who many believe has become the standard in the league, Myles Garrett's 2021 was special. 16 sacks set a team record and were 3rd in the NFL, and he made first-team All-Pro to the surprise of no one.
So on 4th down, here's the Australia native Mitch Wishnowsky to punt this one away. Back deep, 2-time Pro Bowler Dante Hall. 5 yards that time on the punt. And the AFC will take over 1st and 10. Now the AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy. He's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
Escaping the pressure right. They'll wind up losing a full 10 yards on the play, and it'll make this a 2nd and long. 2 minutes remain here in the first half of the John Madden Legacy game. We'll be back. Hey, we want to let you know, give you a fair warning that coming up at halftime, the folks at EA Sports have put together a very nice package in tribute to Coach Madden, so make sure you stick around for that. Again, coming up at halftime. The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and then a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11.
Oh, Brandon, what a game that was down at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. A gorgeous 53-degree day, perfect for football. Raiders got out to a 16-0 lead at the half, and Clarence Davis, no relation, although I would certainly claim him strong on the ground, 137 yards rushing. How about Freddie Blitnikoff, the MVP of that game, catching everything that came his way? Kenny Stabler running the offense with precision. And we all remember the one that sealed it. The grand old man himself, Willie Brown, with the laser-focused eyes, picking off Fran Tarkenton and taking it 75 yards for a touchdown. 32-14 the final score. Raiders had their first Super Bowl title, and we got the iconic shot of Coach Madden being lifted on the shoulder pads of his players and carried aloft as a Super Bowl champ.
On first down, Favre. Oh, he rifles one, and that's going to be intercepted. Picked off by Stephon Gilmore. And he's able to get it back here to the 43-yard line. You don't see this often. A quarterback of his caliber, 2 first-half interceptions.
It's absolutely surprising because it happens so rarely. You're searching for what reason, what's going on out there. It's not just maybe the defense is playing well. Is his horoscope off? His biorhythms? What is it?
You went horoscope on us, David.
Well, I was thinking maybe REM sleep was off. I'm trying to come up with something.
Anything, right? Well, the AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There are 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap he had to know where he was because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
From the 41, Brady. He finds his man, complete. That's Gonzalez. So, Charles, after that Super Bowl title in the 76 season, the Raiders again advanced to the AFC Championship game the following year, but they fell to the Denver Broncos on New Year's Day by a field goal, and that ended their chances for back-to-back titles. And then in 1978, after missing out on the playoffs in that season, John Madden, he actually stepped down as coach of the Raiders January 4th, 1979.
Yeah, that was a surprise for the...
And he will take this in for an AFC touchdown. Marcus Allen with his second touchdown here in this first half. And they are able to add on to their advantage.
Partner, to me, that touchdown had something that was kind of rooted in that group seeing the future. What I mean by that is they had a plan. Let's find a way to score right here before the half. And now to give us momentum going into the second half, give us that cushion that we're looking for, they got that accomplished, scoring right before the half ended.
Vinatieri able to tack on the PAT, and that'll make the score 14-0. Scoring summary, 3-play drive, and the finishing touch was that nice long run into the end zone. And here's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. Here comes Devin Hester bringing it out.
Anytime you feel the kickoff inside your own end zone, you've got to be decisive about whether you're bringing it out or not. Sometimes that indecision can really cost you. That may have been what happened on that play.
Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And he goes down. It's a sack. They get him back at his own 3-yard line. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts as they get the stoppage with a little over 50 seconds to go in the first half. Got to imagine the pass rush will be equally intense here on second down following the sack. It's 2nd and 18. Up the middle they go with Sanders. Well, that gives them a little room, but not much. A gain of 2 to the 5.
And this is why aggressive defense coordinators love to blitz. It wreaks havoc because they end up taking their attention to the blitzers, freed up the D lineman to make the play.
Once again, they'll keep it on the ground. And they'll indeed stop him on 3rd down. And now what do you want to do with your timeouts? Coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley.